As moms, we often wonder, am I doing enough for my kids? I'm here to tell you, you are super mama. That's because we have an undeniable superpower, our intuition, and it never steers us wrong. I call it our mom sense. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta, and I'm the host of That's Total Mom Sense. I'm a journalist, entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, twins plus 1. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my podcast, I interview influential moms from various industries and cover topics that all first-time parents grapple with, from getting your baby to sleep to screen time allowance, your new normal in your marriage, and how to dedicate time to yourself. Learn and laugh along with That's Total Mom Sense. This episode has been sponsored by Podcorn. I launched That's Total Mom Sense on Mother's Day in 2019 and have been fortunate to have built a loyal following of mom and dad listeners since then. I recently started working with Podcorn, a platform for podcasters of all sizes to browse advertising opportunities, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without any exclusivities. I've landed several brand deals through Podcorn and want to pay it forward because that's what moms do. Visit podcorn.com, spelled podcorn.com, to sign up and learn more. If you have a child who loves to eat everything, you have it really good, mama. But if you have a picky eater, like many of us, this is definitely the episode for you. Each child is different and their tastes vary. So if you have more than one kiddo at home, you are inevitably going to be faced with figuring out what to feed them and make sure that everyone's happy at mealtime, especially you, mom. Today, I have Michelle Piccolo on the show with me. Michelle is a freelance product reviewer who specializes in parenting. Michelle previously worked as a fashion and lifestyle publicist for 13 years, and since having her son, has turned to blogging and running a toddler-focused cooking Instagram called Feeding Our Toddlers. Part of her content chronicles what she feeds her son, and the rest showcases other moms and what they make for their toddlers, along with their feeding tips and challenges when it comes to mealtime. Michelle, welcome to That's Total Mom Sense.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So first, tell us a little bit about your background.
So as you mentioned, I was in the fashion lifestyle PR world for about 13 years. So I had Jack, and about 3.5 months maternity leave, I went back to work. And this whole time, probably for about 4 years, I had a regular cooking blog. It was called Feeding in Italian. So I was working PR. I had this regular cooking blog for, 4 years or so. I had Jack. I went back to work. 3 months or so in, I had to fire our nanny, unfortunately. It was not planned. It was just like an unfortunate incident, and we had to part ways, and I became a stay-at-home mom literally the next day, very unplanned. So during that time, it was a lot of change for me, and I was not focusing on my cooking blog. Everything was devoted to Jack, and he started eating solids, and that's all I was doing was cooking for him and feeding him. And I would post some Instagram stories about what I was doing, what meals I was making, and I was getting really good feedback. And I was like, you know what? Makes so much more sense to just focus it on what I feed Jack and stop trying to force the other part of my cooking experience, like trying to make recipes for me and my husband, and just really focus it on him.
Mm-hmm.
And living in Brooklyn, I made a lot of mom friends. We're always talking about, what you're making for who, and different snacks and different bottles and pacifiers, etc. Why not take, all these amazing women and, their recipes that are working for them and their children and share it with everybody. So make it more of a community, because, I'm only one mom and Jack's only one type of eater, but everyone has other experiences and backgrounds and dietary restrictions, etc., that play into what they're feeding their children. So I thought it'd be fun to showcase more of that.
Absolutely. And as moms, I think it's great to have each other as sounding boards, because it's hard when you're just trying to navigate child rearing, especially when it comes to food. Tell us about your motherhood journey.
So it started out pretty rough. I'll be very honest.
Please.
Unfortunately, suffered postpartum depression, and it was hard. When I was pregnant, everything was great and happy, and every time I went to my OBGYN and they would do that whole assessment of your depression level, I guess, I was always fine. And it literally just hit me like a truck as soon as I gave birth. I felt like it was like immediate. It wasn't more like I didn't want to be around him. It wasn't that level. It was more of just like, I can't handle this. Like my life changed so drastically. And I was like, I don't know how I can do this. How am I going to be a good mom? Like, I feel like I'm failing. The sleep was very hard. Like my life, I knew it would change because you don't really realize it until you're in it. And it was very hard for, several months. I think until we did sleep training at 4 months, like I felt a little bit of relief and I was like, okay, like he's on a schedule now, like he's sleeping, we can do this, and then I stopped working and I became a stay-at-home mom. So it was that whole thing again and just feeling like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing in this world? Like I need something else that's my own. So it was hard for a while. And I think I really put myself out there to make mom friends. Like I literally was like, who wants to hang out with me? Because I needed support. I needed adult interaction. I was at my job for 9 years and it was just, everything was very sudden for me. So definitely are a much better place now, but it was rough. Of course, it still has its moments now. Definitely a lot better. And, it's no joke having a kid. It's really hard.
No. Yeah. I feel like you're kind of sharing something so honest and you're preaching to the choir as you say it. It's really freaking hard. And I think what's really remarkable about your journey is that though you were suffering through postpartum, when you and your nanny had to part ways, you just took the onus on yourself and stepped up and said, well, I'm going to take care of Jack, and if that means staying at home and being his sole caretaker, I'm going to do it. How did you get through that?
When I first had Jack and my husband went back to work, I was like, I need help. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this by myself all day. So I had a very amazing mother in the neighborhood that when her kids were at school, she would help new moms. And so she helped me, like 2 or 3 mornings a week, just so I had some time to myself and to, shower and eat a meal. And that definitely helped me because I needed some relief. And I was lucky enough to do that. And then it was making mom friends. Like I researched so many classes, and we're in an area, there's so many classes, so many music classes and reading time at the library, etc. So I really just immersed myself in everything and I just stayed busy. And I'm a person that I'm always need to be like on the go and moving and doing things. So that we just every day we had a class or went to the library or went to a play space that was in our neighborhood. And I just met a lot of moms and been lucky enough to meet some really amazing women and a really great support system. And that really helped me because if I didn't have that, it would be really challenging for me.
Yes. And I mean, I can completely empathize with you. So more power to you for just doing it. Tell us about what it was like with Jack and getting him to start eating and, starting solids. What was that like for you?
So at Jack's 4-month appointment, he had really good head control, and our doctor, she said, hey, if he's interested, just go for it and give him everything. Even some of you have some takeout, give him a little bite, just don't give him honey until he's 1. And that was basically her only rule. So we started, simple purees, like a little bit of pear and a little bit of avocado or whatever it was. And of course he loved it. So yeah, 4 months we started, and I did purees for maybe 2 to 3 months. I didn't follow the rule of like, only introduce one food for a couple days and then introduce another type of food. Like I just had fun with it and I got creative. And there was one book that I did reference a little bit. It's called Real Baby Food by Jenna Hulwig. So I referenced, that gave me some inspiration of like how to get started. And we did use our Baby Brezza glass one-step baby food maker. So that's how I started with purees. That's what I used. Then when he was really like 6-7 months, I started just giving him chunks of food and not really doing more of like a harder mash, not really pureeing it, and just, I guess, baby-led weaning, you can say. But it was really just what I felt he can handle and what he liked. And I literally just gave him everything. Before his 6-month pediatrician appointment, I gave him peanut butter, and it was like an hour before, and I just gave him a little scoop on my finger, and he went to the doctor, and it was fine. So
Smart.
started with nuts early, started with shrimp early, shellfish and eggs, and got creative. And in my Instagram, actually, I do have a highlight of starting solids. So you can see, that journey from purees to just having like just real food. By 7-8 months, he was just eating regular food. Like it wasn't a pouch, it wasn't pureed, it wasn't out of a jar. Like I always just made, different types of recipes for him and just real food. Everything that we ate, he ate. And it was really fun. And I think one of my biggest tips is if you're listening to this and you're about to embark on the solids journey, it's just having so much fun with it and just trying everything, because now is the time to do it before they turn into a crazy toddler. Jack ate everything, and that was the time to do it. And so I feel like that really helped him as an eater now, because he had so much exposure to different types of vegetables and ingredients. So that was the time to have fun and lay the groundwork, I guess you can say.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like I kind of learned the hard way because I had twins, and then a year and a half later, my third. And with the twins, I didn't really do it that way. I waited the 6 months, and I completely agree with you. You can start at 4 if they are sitting up. It's so funny how they just salivate and watch you eat. You're like, okay, you don't have to have just the bottle. Have a piece of this. You mentioned a really great point about introducing Jack to peanut butter early. That's really, really smart that you did that. And I actually wanted to acknowledge a friend of mine who started a company called Lil Mixins, where it's exactly that. Yeah, yep. She's a Hey Mama as well. So Lil Mixins is powders. There's egg powder, there's peanut powder, and tree nut powder. And if you introduce your child to these powders early on, the likelihood for food allergies significantly decreases. It's amazing how you can literally take this powder, mix it with breast milk if you'd like, or formula. And of course, if you see a reaction, you can go to the doctor and deal with it. The idea is that you're introducing it in, a way that's like palatable to them. Then later on, they don't have this childhood allergy.
And they posted a really smart, I think the other day on Instagram, was a graph about how, peanut butter, having it at such a young age, like what it would really do. It might just be a little hives, their throat's not going to close. Right. I think that's what people can get scared about, but they're not at that age, aren't going to have that crazy reaction yet. So that's why I did it before a doctor's appointment. Because I'm like, we're going anyway, at least give it to them. And then if something happens, they can check it out. Like Jack, I think he had a little bit of a reaction with eggs, like you get a little rash around his mouth. And it wasn't anything crazy, but the doctor's like, just keep giving it to him and his body will get used to it. And he is no problem. He eats eggs, no problem now. And I think like a couple months and he never had the reaction again.
And actually, I want to just mention the code. So it is a brand that I endorse. So if you want to receive 15% off, you can enter in Total Mom 15, and Lil Mixins is LILMIXINS. And of course, it'll be in the show notes as well. Back to our chat. What are some of the foods that you fed Jack, and what was he like really into?
He was into everything, to be honest. The one thing that he did not like for so long and finally ate it the other day, I was so shocked, was sweet potato. And I feel like other people have said that too. And I don't know what it is about sweet potato. And like, it's so delicious, but that was the one like thing that he really wasn't into, but ate it like last week. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, he's eating sweet potato. Great.
Yes. You have to keep trying again. There was some nutritionist that I heard on a Mom Brain podcast with Daphne Oz and Ilaria Baldwin. And she was saying you should try feeding them the same food 50 times. And eventually the toddler will give in and be like, okay, fine, I'll finish this bowl. So do you have any top tips when it comes to feeding toddlers?
So I always will have something that he likes on the plate. So if I want to introduce a new food, like a certain type of fish or potato, whatever it is, I'll make sure I have, carrots or broccoli or pasta, something that I know that he's going to like on the plate. And I'll put something on the fork because I feel like when it's on the fork, he thinks it's fun and it's easier to put in his mouth. And because he wants the fork in his mouth anyway, I'll eat with him. That I feel like has helped a lot actually is eating with him. And he really loves when we my husband and I sit down with him for breakfast and we're all eating the same thing. And I know it's hard to do that because the mornings are crazy and sometimes we can't do it, or dinner. I'll be honest, we only have dinner together on Sundays. That's been our new thing because
Mhm.
my husband and I like to have a nice dinner together without, having a 2-year-old involved.
Yeah.
But I'll put a little bit of his on my plate. So if I'm making him pasta, I'll put a little bit on a plate and I'll, eat with him. But that has really helped as well because I think he feels like he's not alone. He's seeing me eat it and it's just making it more of a fun experience. Even now, I give him a snack after his nap. He's makes me have a snack with him and he gets really upset if I don't want to eat a snack with him. And I'm and I just put it on a plate. I don't even eat it, but I'm just okay, I'm doing it with you. And that has definitely helped. And then also not forcing and not making mealtime a battle because mealtime should be enjoyable, right? It's it's you have a delicious meal in front of you. You're with your family and it shouldn't be something that is dramatic and tears. And of course, with toddlers, it's going to happen, but I try not to force anything on him, which is
Mhm.
this is a hard thing that I'm still working on, but I try to remind myself because you make this food, if they don't want to eat it, you're oh, come on, just take a bite, just please take a
Right.
bite of it. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. And then they're just going to have, a bad experience at the dinner table. And you don't want that to be you didn't want to set the tone where, when you sit at the table, it's going to be, you have to eat and it's not going to be fun and we're not happy. You want it to be a better experience. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the way that we grew up, you finish everything that you are served. And, if you don't want to eat what's served, you don't eat.
right. Yep.
It's hard for us to get back to that because it's something that, many of us lament about our childhoods. At the end of the day, it's mom or dad or whomever who's kind of slaving away making a hot meal for everybody, and they put a lot of love into it. Just enjoy it. I mean,
Yep.
the child needs to see that they respect the person who made the food and they respect the food.
I think another thing which has helped make, lunch and dinner better experience is spacing out when we give snacks. Because if they're snacking all morning or all afternoon, they're not going to be as hungry and it's going to make it even more difficult. So I try to do a 2.5 hour gap. And then he's hungry and then he's okay, I'll try it. I'm going to eat because I'm hungry. And I've even noticed he started preschool 3 weeks ago and they do, a morning snack and it's not very significant. So when I pick
Right.
him up for lunch, he literally eats his entire lunch because he had a gap between and he didn't have a crazy snack.
Mhm.
And so now he's eating, this nice big healthy lunch that I made for him instead of snacks all day. And that, that's hard too if they're used to it, if they're used to always getting something. So it's one of those things where it's hard to set it, but once you set the tone and the schedule and the routine, hopefully we'll all fall into place. But that's definitely
Yes.
helped.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I am just kind of browsing through your Instagram photos, and your feed is gorgeous. So, as you mentioned, it's the handle is at feeding our toddlers. I want you to share some of these delicious looking recipes with us. So, I see a pasta on here. What's a typical kind of pasta that you like feeding Jack?
So I feed him Banza, the chickpea pasta, versus just a regular pasta because at least he's getting the protein in it.
Mm,
And he loves it. So I'll usually make it I have a turkey veggie sauce recipe on my Instagram.
mhm.
So that's loaded with, vegetables and turkey. So I'll use that. Or what he had for lunch today is I'll do a pesto sauce that I got from
Mhm.
Trader Joe's. I do their vegan kale and cashew pesto. And when I'm boiling the pasta, I'll add into the same pot some frozen peas and some frozen edamame.
Hmm.
So I'll drain that and then I'll add the pesto, a little olive oil, shave a little Parmesan, some black pepper, and he had 2 helpings of it. He loved
Oh
it.
my goodness. I would have had 2 helpings of
Yeah.
that. That sounds delicious. And it's amazing how it's like you have everybody covered because you would happily eat this lunch and so will he.
Yeah. And I think too, it's about, they're toddlers, but they don't have to eat like bland, boring foods because you think it's like kid food. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I want him to enjoy like different, spices and flavors. And my husband's Italian, so we have a lot of, olive oil and Parmesan cheese and, tomato sauce and, all these things
Mhm.
in our kitchen. And it's like, yes, like let's all enjoy it and not make it just butter on your
Yes.
pasta.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, their taste buds are kind of developing early on. I remember reading this article about why kids have such a oral kind of fixation. They put any kind of toy or really anything in their mouth. It's because the textures and their taste buds, like they're curious. And
Yep.
so they really will just pick up anything and put it in their mouth. So you might as well
Yep.
go for it. I see you also have a shrimp pasta. That's like bold. I mean, I haven't had my kids try shrimp yet. How is that?
So this is a recipe that was shared from a friend of mine, Jackie Hartnett. She's the founder of Extra Floral. It's a florist here in Brooklyn, and she's a very busy mom. And her schedule. She's a florist, so it varies. And she makes everything in one pot. So she'll boil the pasta with the peas, like I mentioned, add the shrimp in it. Do some olive oil, Parmesan cheese, and her kids love it. But she introduced it to them at a younger age where they're used to it. But it's also one of those things where it's like kids love pasta, throw something like shrimp on the plate and see if they'll try it. With Jack, with how we introduced shrimp was we sauteed it with garlic and olive oil and we gave it to him. He was 7 or 8 months when we introduced shrimp. And we gave it to him a
Mm,
lot. We gave it to him, once a week or so for a while just to like get it in his system. But yeah, if you're sauteing it in garlic and butter and olive oil, it's delicious.
yeah, yeah, it's true. I see you have sandwiches on here. It looks like an elevated, nourishing sandwich. So tell us about that. It's not your typical plain old grilled cheese.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really how I approach a lot of my recipes is just taking regular foods and elevating them to make them healthier, tastier. So like how you saw my grilled cheese, instead of, American cheese on white bread, I use a sprouted grain bread. I get it from Trader Joe's, but you can get like sprouted grain bread pretty much anywhere.
Mhm.
And I take roasted broccoli. So I'll roast a batch of broccoli every week to make throughout different recipes. So I'll chop some of that up and I use the Trader Joe's kale and cashew vegan pesto. And then I'll do Swiss cheese. There's not as
Mhm.
much sodium in Swiss cheese. So I use that. So between the Swiss cheese, the chopped broccoli, the pesto. Also, this week I started sprinkling a little nutritional yeast in the
Mhm.
grilled cheese just for like some extra vitamins. And then I cook it in ghee. And my little tip with the grilled cheese is because for younger kids to eat a sandwich, like especially like when they're one, it's hard because it's thick and they really can't get their teeth, especially if they don't have all their teeth yet to really get through it. So
Right.
I'll put the sandwich in a pan and I'll put another pan over it and then I'll put like my big like ceramic salt container and really like smush it
Mhm.
down and really get it nice and crispy and thin
Ooh.
and it's delicious.
Oh my
So
goodness. That's so
that's
cool.
that's the grilled cheese that I make and
Yeah.
loves
It's
it.
almost like you just yeah, you like power pack the sandwich and like turn it into a little chip.
Yep. And I'll say to him, and this helps too, I think now that he's 2 is getting him involved. I'll say, Jack, do you want your grilled cheese cut into squares or triangles? And then he'll be like, triangles. And I'm like, okay, here you go. And he's like, oh, wow. Then
Mhm.
he's involved. And that also helps with the eating as well, I
Yes,
think.
totally, totally. And now what about like the snacky stuff? I see There's something that looks like Rice Krispie muffins and brownies and cookies. So tell us about all those sweet, delectable delights that you prepare for your kid.
When you have a kid, have a big bag of oats in your pantry because I literally use oats for everything. So a lot of my bars or cookies, it's all oat based. So oats with either oat flour, like I'll grind them in the food processor, or I'll mix it with a whole wheat flour or an almond flour. Some of them have like carrot, like I'll grate carrots. So I have a bar that's carrots and pistachios and oats, or, peanut butter, oats, and some flaxseed and a little honey and maybe some dark chocolate chips. But really, oats is like, I never realized that I would use them so much. I mean, we go through bags of them between like overnight oats and all the different bars that you see on my page. And then also I use them for pancakes. Like I mix it with whole wheat flour. I made a batch this morning and it's great. So it's really filling and nourishing, and it's not, a regular cookie.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the recipes I developed, it was right before Thanksgiving, were these pumpkin oat bars. And it's whole wheat flour, oats, and then all of those Thanksgiving fall flavors. So, cinnamon, pumpkin puree, raisins. I try not to add any refined, like processed sugar. So everything is either sweetened with honey or maple syrup, at least for, the recipes that I make. So this one has honey in it, but if this is, you were giving it to someone under the age of 1, you can simply put maple syrup or just omit it. Those came out really great. Another good one was shared to me by a local photographer, Anna Gambuto. Her nanny actually makes these hemp seed cookies. Coconut oil, and you can use whatever nut butter, and it's coconut sugar, coconut flour, and then, hemp seeds, chia seeds, some dark chocolate. They're delicious, full of nutrients with all the hemp seeds. Mm-hmm. And then my latest recipe was from Jennifer Blossom. She's also a Hey Mama. She runs Blossoming Mommy and Baby, and they were a spinach banana muffin, which Jack literally devoured. The first time I made them, he had like 5.
Oh, wow.
Sitting. Okay, these are a hit. So it's, banana, spinach, and then coconut oil, and then cinnamon, almond flour. There's a little bit of brown sugar, but not much. And then oats again. There's a lot of fun things you can do, really good flavors, but that's going to satisfy a toddler into thinking they're getting, this sweet treat. That's what I try to do, is just make these like fun cookies or bars, but sneak in all of these good ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't wait to make all this stuff because then I get to enjoy it with my afternoon tea as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think one thing I want to really get into is the fact that when you have toddlers, there's a lot of paraphernalia. There's so many like versions of the sippy cup and utensils and plates and the little snack cups and just all of it. And it can be really overwhelming for a first-time mom. It's just like, which ones work? I know personally, I read all the reviews and I'm like, which ones are like truly leak and spill proof or whatever it is. So you've actually written articles where you've contributed to Business Insider and today.com on these products. So can you tell us firstly about sippy cups? So when you should transition your toddler to a sippy cup, and which ones you should look into for each kind of phase, and which ones are the best?
Yeah, so sippy cups, I mean, this was a real struggle for me. I think I bought like every single one to really figure out what worked between straw cup, not a straw cup, having some sort of spout, not a spout. I mean, there's like literally everything out there. And what worked the best for us was the Munchkin Miracle 360 cup, where it's like you're drinking out of a regular cup, but it has like a rim on it, so that the kids are learning how to drink from an open cup. I mean, Jack will take my glass with one hand and just chug a glass of water, like, because he was doing it for, since he was like 1 year old. So that I really liked. I really helped with us. And that was the first like cup that I gave, water with that he took to. The only thing negative about that one is, if you drop it, like some water might come out just because of the, how it's designed. But other than that, I mean, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think the cleanup for that is great too, because because see, with the straw cups, and there's so many of those, you need a straw cleaner then to
Mhm.
really get in there. Your bottle brush is not enough. And then I remember reading reviews for some of those like pop-up straw cups where mold can form
Yep.
underneath the tops of them. It's disgusting.
Yep.
And you don't know. And it's like 8,000 4.5 to 5-star reviews that are like amazing. But then there's the few that are like, okay, I opened it up and I found mold. So you're
Yeah.
definitely preventing that when you have the Miracle 360 or models like that.
Yeah, the straw cup. I mean, Jack, it took him a while because I wanted him to learn how to drink from a straw. They say that's important to be able to doing, an open cup and a straw to, master both of them. And it took him a long time. Like I did the whole trick where you fill up a straw, you would with the water and then you hold the bottom and you kind of like tap it into their mouth. There's like a whole straw, how to introduce straws to kids trick. And he just like wasn't going for it. I got all these different kinds and it was driving me a little crazy. And then our friend came over for a play date and Jack literally one day just picked up his cup, his juice cup, and just drank out of the straw. Like no
Wow.
problem. Like he's been doing it for months. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
So that cup I did use, but I mean, I hate the cleaning of the straw thing, but the Philips Avent, my bendy straw cup. So that's what we used for our straw cup because it's really sturdy and it's a short straw. So it's easier, I think, for them to master it.
Yeah.
But that's what he first learned on. So I was like, okay, great, like sold. We'll just deal with this. But yeah, so that's what he used with the straw. And I think that lesson also taught me when it comes to kids, it's like they're gonna do things in their own time. I can't force it to like try to drink out of a straw. You know what I mean? Like he literally, I was like, forget it. He'll eventually learn when he's 3. Like we'll figure it out. Like whatever. I just kind of like blew it off. And then a couple weeks go by and he's just like, okay, I can do this now. So that's a big lesson I learned is like, you know what? They're just gonna figure it out when they're ready.
And now on to your favorite utensils and plates and snack cups and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so my favorite fork and spoon set that we've used, since Jack's really been one is by Munchkin. It's their raised toddler fork and spoon. So it's a very simple design. The fork and spoon part is stainless steel, which in the beginning when he was learning how to eat with a fork, like he would like jab himself a little bit. At first I was like, oh, is this too early or too aggressive for him at this age? Like, should I go to like a rubber spoon? The rubber spoon, he couldn't get or the rubber fork, I'm sorry, he couldn't get anything up with the rubber fork. And then he would just get frustrated. So I'm like, you know what? Like, we'll just keep practicing. And pretty soon he mastered it. And what's really great about it is it has this rim around it. So if you were to fling, which he did all the time, fling his fork or spoon off the high chair or drop it or whatever, the rim protects it from hitting the floor, the part that goes in their mouth. So you're not making as much of a mess and you're not going to the sink like a million times during a meal to rinse a fork or spoon off. So I really love it. I mean, it's easy. There's so much out there. I'm like, this one worked for us. He was able to hold it. It's not too small. It's not too long. Like it's a perfect size for his hand. Anyone who has had a baby shower that I've been invited to the last year has gotten this as a gift. So it just works. It's great. It's easy. It's simple. So.
And then what about plates and snack cups? Do you have favorites for that?
So we use and still use Easy Peasy's plate, like the suction plate. And then Avanci's, their suction cup bowl. We've used those for a long time. Like that's what he like started solids with, and we still use them. I mean, now like Munchkin makes like regular just plates that we now use because he's not in the plate throwing phase anymore. Thankfully. So now he's fine using just a regular plate, which is great. But those were really helpful for us. And then with snack cups or snack containers, I really like the ones by lunchbox. They make one, it's a, stainless steel container and it has a couple different compartments. So, because I like to give them a couple things for a snack, and it just keeps everything separated. And in one container, you don't need one container for this, one container for that. So I really love that one. I still use it. We use it every day. So that's been good.
Oh, that's great. We will include all of these product links in the show notes to this podcast episode. So happy shopping, mamas, for all that stuff. Okay. What are your tips for eating out with toddlers? Because that can be very, very messy and maybe even embarrassing.
Yeah, and stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like a wonderful, relaxing experience. So I'll take him out for lunch with like other parents and other kids. But what I've found that has worked, you have to choose your restaurant wisely. You have to do your advanced work, like look at the menu, call, make sure they have high chairs. And so you know what you're walking into. So I know what I'm going to order him in advance. And literally as soon as we're seated, I'm like, I'm sorry, but can I put the order in now?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no waiting and you get in as quick as possible. And also, just because they say the restaurant's kid friendly and they have high chairs doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have crayons or anything to entertain the kid. I've learned that where I'm like, oh, you don't have any like paper or like anything. I'm like, something. I have stuff in my diaper bag because there's too many times where I've had that happen. So I remember, the places that we go that really does cater to everything that they need. That's quick. The restaurant we go to a lot for lunch is Bear Burger, which they have a lot of locations, but it's great because I'm not ordering him chicken fingers and french fries because they have a lot of great things on the menu. I order it. It's ready. It comes out very quick. They have crayons. They have paper. It's easy. It's cheap. If you're waiting for the food and they get antsy, just walk around the restaurant, let them see what's happening, like by the kitchen, or if it's nice out, like walk outside. And then you can be like, okay, the food's here, sit down, eat, get the check as soon as the food hits the table, pay, and you're done.
Right. Exactly. And I always say, go with reinforcements. So friends and family members and, like whoever, grandparents, that way it's like, the kids are outnumbered as far as ratio and you have, that many more adults to help you out with how many ever kids are there. Do you ever give him a tablet at dinner?
At dinner, no. Sometimes when we're waiting, if we're out or we're waiting for lunch and he's just like losing his mind, like I will put something on the phone because it's just to have like a few minutes of peace. Yeah. Like I'm very much like he has screen time and I'm all about balance. We'll hold his iPad when I'm changing his diaper, but you know what? He's not screaming and trying to run off and like hit me in the face. Like he's sitting there, I can change his diaper and in 3 minutes we're done and the screen is away from his face.
Right, exactly.
Or if I'm trying to get dinner ready. But my rule is at dinner and after dinner, nothing, because that's like wind down time. But yeah, I mean, listen, he goes to school now. We go to classes. He has a balance of everything. I don't think doing that every now and then is a big deal. It's like you got to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So another problem that we're faced with when we're eating out is what to order that's healthy. So do you have any tips on navigating that?
Yeah, so I think that's, doing your research before you go out. Like I mentioned, Bear Burger is a place we go to for lunch during the week a lot because they have such a great offering there. They have a sweet potato, wild rice kale burger. So he gets that. He gets a side of avocado. He gets a side of sauteed mushrooms and sweet potato fries. If we go somewhere else, not Bear Burger, I'm not ordering off the kids menu because a lot of it's pasta which is fine. I will order that too, but it's the chicken fingers and french fries and mozzarella sticks and just stuff that's not as good for them. So I'll look at the sides. So on the main menu. So if there is a side of avocado or, a side of, roasted vegetables, or we went to a local Italian restaurant by me and I got him the pasta with clam sauce. And I just had them, instead of using spaghetti, I was like, oh, can you replace it with penne? So it's easier to eat. But instead of having the pasta with butter, he's having clams and olive oil and garlic and all these delicious flavors. It was from the adult side of the menu.
That's great. One question that I love asking my guests is about their mom sense moment. So tell us about a mom sense moment you had.
So I think my mom sense moment, I feel like terrible saying this, is when we fired our nanny. I
Mm,
think it was one of those things where, so I'll tell you the experience I had. There was a couple communication things, but we addressed it. It was not a big deal. And then one day she got lost, ended up in a different neighborhood, and I knew she was lost. Like, we talked on the phone, and then I tried to reach her, and she wasn't answering the phone for like 20, 30 minutes, not returning texts, not answering the phone.
mm,
And once she answered the phone and met me back at the apartment, I expressed, I was like, how upset I was, because I'm like, you don't know where you are and you're not answering your phone. And I got a very bad reaction from her. As soon as she left, I was like, I'm not going to work tomorrow. Like, I can't, like, in my gut, I feel like I can't do this anymore. Like, this is my son's life is in her hands, 8, 9 hours out of the day, every day. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, John, like, we have to literally, like, I called work the next day. We'll figure it out, but I need to watch him. I would have the Nest up on my computer at work all the time. And so would John. And it's just like, we can't get work done, can't have this like in our heads and in our hearts all day. And that's what it's going to be.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's, you're trusting someone with your kid, and any bad feeling is, you got to listen to it and be like, I'll stay with him. There's no way I'm going to take a chance. Let's not forget our quote of the day. Is there a quote that you live by?
It really is. Everything happens for a reason. And I think, like the whole story I just told about me staying home with Jack, it's just like, there was a reason for it. Now I've made such amazing mom friends. Like, Jack, I've given Jack such, what I feel, a great, enriching experience, like being able to take him to all these different classes and activities and cook for him and just help him grow. Being able to do that has been great. And I always wonder, I'm like, what would life be if like that didn't happen? But I'm like, it happened for a reason. I always try to remind myself that, like, if times are tough or something unfortunate happens, it's like, okay, there is a reason for it and it'll be okay. I try to stand by.
Yeah, I believe it too. It's now time for Mom Haul, when we share products we love. I know we mentioned a bunch of products that you swear by in the episode, which was awesome. But is there anything else that you want to cover in our Mom Haul segment?
I just tried Glossier's Milky Jelly Cleanser, their face wash, and I love it. I didn't think I would, but I really like it. Like, it doesn't leave my skin dry, and I actually feel like my skin is clean, but it doesn't leave like that harsh feeling on your face.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. It's just like a nice, easy face wash.
Awesome.
Very random and unrelated to this conversation. But.
Yeah. No, but we love that because, we're always like looking for products for mom too. It's not just, baby all the time.
You need something for yourself, even if it's washing your face, because sometimes that doesn't even happen.
True story. I wanted to share my mom haul. So it's about what we've been talking about today, because I kind of came across this product on Etsy. It is the Mama's Must Have Restaurant Kit, and it's by a shop called Yeah Baby Goods. And it's such a cute little kit. So it comes in this canvas pouch that's washable, but it's essentially a placemat that's silicone and these little kitchen shears. What's great is when you're on the go and you have a toddler and you have to cut up his or her food, whether it's, like fruit or pizza or bread or whatever, sometimes you need some kitchen shears. So it's easy to have that on the go, and you can, cut out funky shapes if you want. Okay, so lastly, where can my listeners find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Feeding Our Toddlers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. This was such a fun, delicious little conversation that we had.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I hope you had fun listening to my chat with Michelle, and I hope you feel inspired to get in the kitchen, get your hands dirty, and cook up a storm for your kids and for your family. It's definitely fun to experiment with new foods and, come up with your own healthy take on foods that you want your kid to love. Michelle's recipes are great. They're in the show notes, and you can find that on my website. That's totalmomsense.com. And follow me on Instagram, of course, where I update all of you on my upcoming episodes and have cute overviews on all of my guests. And that handle is at KanikaXOXO. And with that, I am out. And as I always say, remember, trust your mom sense. Stay strong, super mamas. Bye.
That's total mom sense.